Wondering on how not to rage in video games? See, the point about raging in video games, there are two pillars for that. There are unhealthy expectations and obviously entitlements. Now, each one supports the other. It matters not which one was the first, but entitlements make for unhealthy expectations, and unhealthy expectations also support, so-called attachments, right? Or, well, entitlements. An entitlement is still nothing else but an attachment. It is a meaning that one takes, one embraces, and that meaning is, well, more or less irrelevant to the rest. It only makes sense to the one who bears it in their mind, right? As I said, meaning is just a tool. How you make use of it, well, that determines and defines a lot of things. Because if you use it just as a shield, right, to make yourself look better or feel better in your own mind, well, in this society, no one cares how you feel about yourself, right? And how you feel, well, actually about yourself. See, yourself is called so for multiple reasons, and I've been saying this in previous videos, as well as, many other people have been saying this. Yourself is an accumulation of other people's opinions, right? You have been born in this ignorant world. Most likely your parents have been absent in your life. They haven't given you the attention that you needed. And, well, most likely they unleashed a lot of their frustrations upon you. And you've also been a sponge of other people's frustrations and misaccomplishments. Ending up in such a torment, the point is people need shields, right? People need all sorts of ideas to believe in order to make themselves look good. And when they embrace this, well, the point is, if you embrace such a point, well, such points will make you perceive things completely differently. Because if you have the opinion that you suck, well, see, whatever opinion you have, well, unfortunately, that's your actual future, right? That is your actual present and your actual future. See, the present and the future, they are both in the present. Many people speak about the future, but when you think about things, as I was saying before the interruption, see, the present is in the present. The past can still be in the present and the future can still be in the present. How am I saying this? Because whatever you're doing, it only happens in the present. You're thinking about the past, you're doing it in the present. You're thinking about the future, you're doing it in the present. It's just the fact that you're not aware enough of that, you're not anchored enough in reality, and you think that past and future are completely different things. The past has happened, it matters no longer, nothing can be changed. The future hasn't happened, so it matters not. What can happen in the future, there is little one can determine, right? There is little one can do to change the future alone. But your own life, a lot of things can be done to simply change it. If you live other people's frustrations, if you live other people's lives, well, basically they are living your life, right? And as they are living your life, well, there is another thing. Your present, their present, their past, can also become your future, because if you live someone else's life and, well, if that is the only thing you know, well, it's no longer going to be a present aspect, it's going to be something of the future. Because if you've been living like this, in this kind of psychological and emotional misery, well, chances are, if you don't start doing changes in your life and start acting the way you would want instead of living other people's lives, well, those people will actually live your life in the future as well, right? So, raging about video games. See, raging in video games comes from unhealthy expectations, as I've been saying, as well as, entitlements. Entitlements occur when people want to feel good. They want to feel accepted, or at least acceptable, right? They want to feel that they have a role in society. They want to feel that they have a role in certain people's lives, right? Usually it is a bit more for men, because men need to fit a certain role in society, but it is also something that occurs in women, because women also want attention. And at the same time, there are a lot of women who fall for this trap of, the corporatist woman, the woman who must be a man and also fit a purpose. Now, the reversal of things in this society, because it's a sick society, it matters not for this case, okay? As I was saying, when you click play in a video game, a lot of people have this unhealthy expectation, right? That their game must be easy. Their opponents must serve him or her the win, right? And everything must be, as easy as possible, as challenging as possible, but it must be a win, right? Because many people are attached to this situation. If they lose the game, their whole life is a misery. Your life is not a misery, okay? You're just pressing a few buttons, you're using some logical aspects, you're using some intuition, you may use some skill or not, but when you become attached to something, it's as if it is the peak of the universe, right? Ultimately, a game is some sound coupled with some visuals and obviously some logical thinking, okay? All games require some sort of skill, I'm not gonna say no, but some games are much simpler, some games are much more complex. You need to see things beyond the box, right? Because when you get attached to something because it gives you the dopamine rush, it makes you feel that you're not a failure. See, you are not a failure. That's one thing you have to cure. Because when you realize you're not a failure, you're no longer gonna rage in games. You're thinking just like your parents. You see, when you are young, you probably have seen a lot of adults do this. Something bad happens, it doesn't matter how hard it is, how problematic it would be, they just drop something, they swear. They do something silly, they swear. They're always pissed, as if anything slightly problematic that can be, right, it's always the end of the world for them, right? You don't have to take this mentality. This mindset in video games won't lead you anywhere. You'll just become an enemy of development, of getting better, and that will give breed to some of the most toxic people, the one-trick ponies, the enemies of development, right? Because when you refuse to get better, you'll only be the same piece of salt, right? So expectations. See, a lot of people want you to be perfect. Well, there is no such thing as perfection. You're basically perfection. You don't have to be a narcissist, because narcissists can't understand the perfection that they are, but they still claim they are. You don't need to claim something that already exists, right? You don't need to prove that water boils, at the temperature it does on this planet, right? Because it will always do so, right? You don't need to prove that, plants will always seek the light of the sun, because they will also do that, right? Just like this, you don't need to prove things, right? Each and every one of us is part of creation, so therefore it is part of this perfection of this universe. You are taught that you are useless because that's the easiest way you can be controlled, because whoever angers you controls you, right? Those characters that you dislike, right? They're not the ones controlling you. The people who troll you, they are the ones who control you, because you give in to their unhealthy expectations, right? They want you to be pissed. They want you to do everything, right? And when you press play, right, you're not entitled, okay, to anything. It's just a video game. You're gonna pop in with some other people. Most likely you won't be meeting them again. But some people end up even cursing others, even, searching through their social media, stalking them on the internet. Like, bro, you just lost a game or you won a game. That's it. Move on. Okay. This is easier said than done always, right? But as I said, unhealthy expectations, okay? Don't expect anything in a game. If you want a simple trick, expect that you will actually lose the game, right? I've done this a few times. When you play League of Legends or some of those more toxic games, most people love being abused. So not doing it with people, well, it's a bit healthier to do it through video games than with people and being abused by narcissistic people or, well, things like that. But the point is, see, how to put it, the point about video games is nothing in there is real, okay? When you are attached to something, it is always more than real. That's how the mind works. But the point is, you don't have to make any expectations or any assumptions. You see something, oh, it's gonna be like that. You see someone play something, oh, it's gonna be like that. Well, it can be, but just expect that you will lose the game, okay? You're playing those toxic games and you're entering the so-called lose streak. Don't embrace victimhood mentality, okay? That is basically the #1 destroyer of fun in all video games. Because when you embrace enough of expectations, especially unhealthy ones, as well as the idea of entitlements, you will always embrace victimhood. Sooner or later, it doesn't matter. It's always my karma, it's always my team, it's always this, it's always that. You're playing a game just to make yourself better, okay? You lose 1,000 games, okay, sure, it doesn't matter. Who doesn't lose games? Even pro players lose games, okay? And they have something to feel pissed about because they actually lose money. You stay in your comfort zone, you're pressing a few buttons, you're losing a game, and you're already thinking your life is shit. Well, you're not losing prizes, you're not making, any special thing, right? And a lot of people stream toxicity, right? Whatever you put out will come back to you. So when you start streaming, that's an extra step of caution that you need to take. What you put out will come back to you, and what you consume will become better of you, right? Because if you put out misery, you will attract a lot of miserable people. And their misery is something that you're feeding, because when they are watching your streams, they are sending their energy to you, and you're feeding upon that. Just like you feed your physical body, you can feed your mind, you can feed your psyche. So the point is, don't embrace victimhood. Don't embrace any expectation, okay? You're just pressing play. You're gonna do what you can, okay? You're gonna test a character. You're gonna test something. You're gonna do a few things, okay? Do those things and that's it. Stay as neutral as possible. Don't force yourself to be neutral. Don't force yourself anything. Just do what you know you have to do. Do it several games, and you'll see that you will rage less, because once you no longer give in to those temptations, you're no longer gonna rage. Okay, you're no longer gonna waste time typing things, and then you're gonna be caught by surprise, and then you're gonna commit to victimhood again, right? Because when you are idle, when you're keyboard worrying with others, well, the problem is you're not actually using your character, and you can't react quickly, right? I've also done this, keeping people busy, making them rage so that I could, snipe them or something, catch them by surprise, or I would keep them busy and other random people in my team would kill them, because, it's easy to do that. A lot of people rage super easily, and it's easy to keep them busy, and, like they get killed and they become even saltier, as if, their life depends on that, right? The game is just an environment, okay? You're just enjoying it. Don't use it as a drug, because all drugs, if used so, will cause addiction, okay? That's what I call drug activities, okay? Drugs by nature cause a sort of dependency. If you want, you can use your mind to simply create all sorts of drug activities, okay? They are not physical drugs, okay, that make you feel well, naturally, just like drugs would do, but they are what I call emotional and or psychological and mental drugs, okay? Because they give you dopamine rush, they make you feel good, they make you feel something else than a failure. But also ask yourself this final question: why do you think you are a failure, okay? When you were born a zero, okay? You had nothing in your mind, okay? Your brain was empty. You had no attachment towards anything. All the languages and all the things that you know now, you didn't know, okay? A child, when they are born, they are pure, okay? They don't know anything. They don't have any attachment towards this world. They don't even know how this world functions. Everything that you learn, even your imagination, and even the idea of inspiration, they are all from external sources. So why is it that you are a failure? Okay, who said that you are a failure? First of all, in order to be a failure, okay, failure is a comparison, okay? And just like any other comparison, you can't be a failure on your own. If you are miserable, you're always alone, okay? Because misery is a state of mind. When you think you're miserable, well, you think you are miserable, okay? But miserable compared to whom? When you are in misery, everyone else is not miserable, only you it is, okay? That is a comparison. Now, when it comes to sucking, when it comes to being bad at the game, well, compared to what? Obviously, again, victimhood makes it that everyone is better, you are the worst, okay? You are the only one who is the worst, okay? This is where the stupidity lies. Because when you say you are the only one who is stupid, you can't be the only one, okay? Because the comparison needs at least something else. When you say big, something is not big on its own, okay? It is big compared to you, so there is always two, right? There is always the number two, at least. So you can't call yourself stupid, right? You have to be stupid compared to something. What is it that you're stupid? It's not the other people, right? It's their expectation of you to be better, or it's what you think, right? They would think of you, right? It's your expectation. It's just a stupid game you have taken from your parents, because back in the times when people didn't have much to do, the only thing the ignorance could do is simply look at the other ones and point titles at them. So there is this shame and this, well hidden thought, this self-sabotaging thought that everyone else definitely thinks that I need to be better, right? And if you think, the slightest moment you think you're not good, right, you simply rage as if your life ends, right? This is societal survival. It is very powerful in us because for thousands of generations, that's how people have been. That is something you can easily see in your parents and in most adults, right? They drop a coin on the ground, oh, it's the end of the world. Something doesn't happen the way it does, oh, it's the end of the world. The clock is 1 minute behind, oh, it's the end of the world. They miss 1 minute of their favorite match, it's the end of the world, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, I've missed this, I've missed on this, everyone is gonna think I'm a failure, right? But if people don't have anything better to do than to think you're a failure, well, that kind of goes to show they are failures, right? Because only a failure would do something like that. I mean, in between people who just watch video games and people who play video games, I'd rather be the one who actually plays video games. Sure, watching some is also good, but I want to actually take part in the action. Most people, they just prefer sitting aside because they think they are not important enough and they think they are taking part in the action just by watching. You're not taking part in the action. Sure, if you want to give some beloved streamers their views, sure, okay, but remember that living your life is far more important than just staying idle, okay? Because when you stay idle, you're feeding most likely the idea that you suck, okay? You remember, you can't suck other than when you compare yourself with others. But comparison again is just an expectation. You have a stupid expectation that you must be good. And being good is not something that you do overnight in most situations, okay? Being good is something that you need to do in time. You have to play that character hundreds of hours, hundreds of games, and that always means a lot of effort, okay? And you will never get better if your mindset is not towards that. It doesn't matter how much you play, you'll always play the same boring build, you'll always be doing the same thing, you'll be lying yourself so perfectly that it is fun, it is what you think you're doing, it is for a greater cause. No one cares what you're doing in a video game. The world won't change irrespective of how many games you lose or you win, okay? It doesn't matter. No world will change, okay? No war will end or will start if you win or you lose a game. No disease will be cured if you win or you lose a game. It is nothing else but something cybernetic, a combination of, well, visuals and sounds and some logical aspects that you have to take into account. You're just playing a game, okay? Life itself can be a game if you want to see it like that, okay? Because most people do it, right? When they victimize, it is just a game. How much attention can they get, right? When they are stupid, it's like, well, how much more stupid can they get? When they think they suck, it's like, well, how much more can they victimize? How much more can they, ruin other people's lives? Any challenge is basically a game, in real life or in video games as well. Hopefully this video was introspective and, well, it's my type that I don't give direct answers to people, because if they're not ready to accept them, they won't see them as they should, they won't realize them, and they will most likely take things for granted. When you take things for granted, that's a superficial way of seeing things. It is a good first step, but still it is a long way to do. So I'd rather have people explore their intuition. I'd rather have people become introspective and find things out themselves rather than giving people directly the answers they would look for, right? All this being said, you are appreciated. Take care, have fun, enjoy life. Remember, play the game, don't let the game play you. All this being said, you are appreciated, stay awesome, and live bright. Ferenc Board signing out.